Today, we continue our coverage surrounding yesterday's assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk before a crowd of thousands on a college campus. The scene, Utah Valley University. The event was part of Kirk's American Comeback Tour, which travels to college campuses. There were about 3,000 people in attendance. Kirk was under a white tent, answering the audience questions about gun violence and mass shootings. Then, a single shot rang out and hit Kirk in the neck. He was removed from the stage and taken to a local hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Police initially took 2 people into custody as suspects, but they were released by law enforcement after the interrogation found no ties to the incident. A manhunt for the shooter is ongoing. In a lengthy video statement, President Trump attempted to place blame for the killing and said demonetizing opponents must stop now.
An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
Joining us now with more reflection on this shocking event is Republican strategist Mark Rountree. He's the president of Landmark Communications and a frequent panelist on 11Alive's Georgia Vote. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. For people who may not know what kind of person Charlie Kirk was, describe him for us, please.
Charlie was very unique for political figures, and he was a political figure. Because of his accessibility, he would regularly go to college campuses. He did this event despite having there were no metal detectors, and there weren't these standard security things that a politician might have. So I think more than anything else, he was accessible. He was very articulate in describing his beliefs, and he would take the posture with college students in a debate format that was very courteous. He never got into shouting debates or anything along those lines. He was accessible. He was charismatic. He was very effective, and I think that's why he was targeted.
What went through your mind when you first heard that he was shot?
It was well, obviously everybody would be surprised. It harkened back in Georgia. When I was at college myself at the University of Georgia, I was the state chairman of the college Republicans in those days, and I remembered events at the time where, we were actually kind of, I don't want to say victims, but we were pushed around a lot by people that politically disagreed with us. At one point, we were even attacked in a parade, just a community parade. But I think that it's indicative of not just where we are as a culture today, but I think this has been building for some time on college campuses. College campuses can be more aggressive because of the amount of just free speech that people have and the amount of interaction people have in very close proximity to each other.
Yeah, he built his career speaking to young conservatives. What do you think this means as far as his loss for the next generation?
There were conservatives, but Charlie Kirk was not a speaker in the traditional sense. He wouldn't go out and just give a sort of a pre-planned monologue of a speech. He invited people who disagreed with him. It was sort of the purpose of his events was to invite people to come up and argue with him, so to speak. His event was called Prove Me Wrong, and he would have a microphone presented to people that disagreed with him, and he would give sort of a, conservative view, of course, of his belief in family and liberty, and he was very much of a Christian. And it was interesting. About 2 months ago, he was asked what would you like your legacy to be? His answer, above all else, was my faith. I was watching that last night, and it was very touching.
Do you expect more GOP candidates or activists to begin to pull back from public events or double down and appear more?
That's a great question, but I don't believe so. I think if anything, this is going to inspire people to go the opposite direction. I think they will interact more with each other, and that's probably a good thing in a healthy way. Yeah.
With emotions running raw right now, what's the risk that this tragedy deepens political polarization instead of uniting people?
There's obviously that's the risk, that you're going to find people that will, sort of say, okay, if that's the level you're going to sink to, that that's what other people should sink to, and that's not the way to look at it. Yeah. It's a common thing that's said that violence is not the answer, but this sort of thing. This is a man who had 2 young children. He had a wife. This was a guy living a very quality life, a very healthy life, and his events were very persuasive. He, along with other youth conservative organizations, the Leadership Institute comes to mind, based in Virginia. They are very focused on this, and it'll be interesting to see where Turning Point, his organization, goes from here. Can it continue without him as the sort of the face of the organization?
That's kind of what I want to ask you, Mark. Not only Republicans, but how do Americans move forward? How do you think Americans should be moving forward and not allowing this violence to silence debate?
Well, if the inference there is, more gun control, that just isn't going to change anything. Someone who's going to be violent and shoot people, the new laws aren't going to stop them from doing so. What was interesting about this particular event, and maybe interesting is the wrong word, but notable, I guess, is a different word, is the sheer, what appears to be virtual professionalism of the shot. There was just one shot rung out from apparently 200 yards away and hit the target. This was somebody who was determined to commit murder. And, that's another shocking part of it. This was a trained person, by all appearances anyway. We'll see, but they haven't caught the bad guy yet. But moving forward from here, I would hope that people talk about this event and universally condemn it. I think it was very strange to watch yesterday the U.S. House of Representatives on the floor argue against a moment of silence or yell about to stop a moment of silence. I didn't think that was. I just was surprised to see, and they were basically, not to inject direct politics into this, but Democrats that were opposing that. Maybe they just didn't like the person who was sort of making the motion. I don't know, but I didn't observe that. But I think a moment of silence would have been very healthy on the U.S. House of Representatives floor.
All right, Mark Rountree, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for your insight this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right.